This is a 15-yard pitch and run shot. Wanted to emphasize on my website and email that I'm sending out as a blog about this shot. So just wanted to go over it. Part of when I was at Grand Cypress, Dr. Mann and Phil Rogers, we had every shot in golf researched with Dr. Mann. So we went all the way down from 1 yard off the green to 100 yards in the bunker. We did putting, 4, 8, 16, 32-foot putts, and then we did 9-iron, 7-iron, 5-iron, 3-wood driver in the swing. So this is, we have all the research on this shot. We just haven't published it really since the book Swing Like a Pro. But this is a 15-yard shot. What I call a pitch and run. Some people call it chipping, but it's 15 yards to where you want to land the ball. So I'm going to take the model away and just swing me. So that's 15 yards. Now I'll put the model on and we'll go together, show you that motion. It's timed up here. So you can see I've got a little quicker transition right there. And then I'll just do the model that we have for 15 yards. And if I come back and show a couple of things. Once the players make this pretty simple, because from really 10, 15 yards all the way back to 50 to 75, even to 100, the mechanics of what they were doing really didn't change. It's just basically a couple of adjustments, like shorter shots, the feet were more narrow. A little longer shots, the feet got wider. Shorter shots, they gripped down more. Longer shots, they didn't grip down as much. But the mechanics are the same. Similar to, throwing a ball. If I'm going to throw a ball from second base to first base or shortstop to first base, is not going to be a lot different throw from third base to first base or from the pitcher to the catcher. The mechanics of how I produce the throw are going to be the same. Same in kicking a football. If I'm going to kick an extra point versus kicking a 60-yard field goal, the mechanics are going to be very similar. So that's what we see that makes the pros the best. So once you select the shot and the club, you've decided on that. Solid contact becomes one of your principal concerns. So when we look at setup, the position of the ball, if I put a line up here, you can see the ball is right between the two toes. Well, I call it middle of the stance. And again, this is a basic shot, 15 yards, flat lie, good lie. So then you can see the ball's right off the left eye, left ear. So the shaft, you can see the shaft is positioned just inside the left leg or in the middle of the thigh. So that's the setup position. Over here on this side, the down the line view, you can see the stance is slightly open. The left foot's kind of flared out. You can see over here face on and is pulled back a couple inches. One thing to note is the distance from the ball. If I put like the eyes would be about right there because there's the nose. And the way I get the distance from the ball is I hold the club down, straight down from the nose, and I put two balls. I put one ball here and one ball here. And my nose should be right over that third ball. The ball I'm hitting, another ball, the third ball, that gets my distance from the ball correct. Big, important thing that you're doing. So now once the swing started, it's all about two things: getting the steepness of the swing, getting the hands in front of the ball so you get clean contact. You don't want anything between the ball and the club, unless you're in the rough and you can't avoid this, but we're on a clean lie. So again, if I emphasize where the shaft is, here's the shaft, it's set up, and then you can see the shaft at impact shifts forward. Everything shifts forward. That's going to be additional shaft lean of 5-6 degrees, when it comes into impact. So go back to set up, there's impact. Now, most players that coach on a general basis don't get that. Their shaft is way back at impact. So part of what produces that is the setup, and the other part is, what happens in the swing. So when you go here and you say, this is the hips right here. I kind of put the hips right there, and I go from backswing. There's no shift off the ball to the right. The hips stay where they are. But when the body transitions, into the downswing, the whole body shifts. The upper body, you can see that little shift. The upper, I'll go back and show you the upper body as well, where the head is. So here, once I get back, there's no shift off. Then there's going to be, you can see the hips and the body shift forward. So there's a total body transition forward. You can see where the hip was, it shifted over, the head shifted forward a little bit into the downswing. That's going to help steepen the swing and get an angle attack. The angle attack on this shot is anywhere from 7 to 12 degrees down, typically. And I'll get a lot of golf school students that have 1 down or 0 down or, very little, if any, down. So you're trying to get that proper angle of attack coming in. The other part, the positioning of the hands and the position of the setup, and then the whole body transition to the left. The other part is, with the body slightly open, you can see this is the left hip over here and the right hip, left leg's in yellow, right in the orange, and the left arm is in green, right arm is in red. You can see how the shoulders are open. So the entire body sets up slightly open to the target. And if I show you the steepness of the swing, this is the club head path of the backswing. So very vertical. If I put a line straight up from the ball right here, that'd be 90 degrees. I'd be swinging on a Ferris wheel. You can see it's very close to, around 70 degrees right there. So when it goes up, maybe even more, but goes up into the backswing, you can see here it's going to follow that line right there. And very, very vertical swing path. The other emphasis is on the backswing, is how the emphasis is to keep the club outside the hands. You can see starting back, the club is outside the hands. When it comes down into the downswing, the club's still outside the hands here. And on the follow through after the ball is struck, the club is outside the hands as well. So that helps that steepness of the swing, the setup and the hand position and the transition of the whole body helps get the body and hands in front of the ball at impact to get that, contact. Now the difference, basically, if I take you back, like I said, this is a 15-yard shot. If the swing were 50, here's basically what would happen. This arm would end up, the green arm would be about there, and the club would be there. That would be a 50-yard shot. So the swing continues. The same mechanics happen. You come over on the other side here, 50-yard shot. The arms, the left arm would be about there, and the club would be about there. So that would be 50 yards. And then 75 would go just a little more. 100 would go just a little bit more. So not a lot of difference. And the same from the other side. The steepness of the swing would be the same. Wouldn't be quite as close to the ball because you're going to be not gripping down as much. And then Last thing is going to be, once you've got those things done, would be the the trajectory of the swing, higher or lower. And then if you took a 50-yard shot, 75-yard shot, the left toe would widen to there, and the right toe would widen to there, get a little bit wider, which would get the trajectory higher. And the club selection affects that. So if you're going to, take a 60-degree wedge, obviously you're going to go higher, 56 or 52. So it's pretty simple. So you once you get the shot and you select the club you're going to hit, the whole emphasis on making solid contact with the ball by getting your setup right, gripping down, leaning a little left, hands in front, slightly open, and then it's about getting the steepness of the swing for the angle of attack and the whole body transition. And again, the distance is how much swing length you're going to have and the swing speed. 15 yards is about 30, 35 miles an hour. 50 is about 50 miles an hour with the swing speed. The angle attack, as I said, is anywhere from 7 to 12 down. And then your stance width affects the trajectory and also the club selection. So that's what makes the swing pretty simple. Is the short game is not a lot of, I call it plain vanilla. There's not a lot of chocolate chips and cookies and cream. Now, obviously, there's adjustments you've got to make for a bad lie, downhill, uphill. And the pros encounter those things every day, so they know how to adjust. So I simply just adjust the ball position a little bit. If I get a bad lie, maybe just put the ball one ball back and maybe lean just a little bit more to the left to further steepen the swing. But other than that, the mechanics are the same. And again, that's the simplicity of the short game and what makes the best players really, really